SD here, I've got 6 CMAs, one of them being Denitra, who we've already spent a little bit of time talking about. This is the tracker page of the tool, where I've got all of my staff members listed. And one note, I would just advise you to sort of watch the cursor as I'm manipulating things up here. Going along row number 4, you can see the different points in time in which I'll be able to collect information about my staff members' performance. So we've got all staff conference, spring calls, check-ins that you're doing, each one of the days at week 0, and then each week of Institute. So again, it's thinking about doing this in the spring and all the way through Institute. Okay, so we'll go back. And you're thinking, well, all staff, there's a lot that happens in all staff. I can't really fit all that in one cell. Of course not. So you're going to go up here, and you're going to expand. And this is where you can see the specific pieces of information that you should be able to collect at the all-staff conference related to CMA performance. Now again, you're probably like, wow, I've read the Vision of Excellence. I don't think I know what VOE number 7 actually means. So you're going to go and expand right here.
Crystal, we didn't see your shoulders.
My head's on the way? Okay, so the Excel tip here is anywhere there's a plus sign, if you click on that, it expands either columns or rows. David?
So why are number 7, 6, 5, and 12 not watched up there? Because those are the only ones that are relevant at this point?
Exactly. Those are the Vision of Excellence actions that we think you can collect information about at the all-staff conference. So again, remember, we're specifically within the all-staff experience right now. Based on the sections that are happening at all-staff, this is what you should be able to have some reliable information about. So row 5, because again, I expanded this. Let me do this one more time so you can see it. Okay. So right here is where you're going to enter the date of evaluation. So I'm going to do this for my CMA, Brittany. And our all-staff conference in Phoenix is the weekend of April 18th. And now I actually have drop-down menus to choose from that will help me organize this in a really easy way using the key that goes along the top. So if you feel like, gosh, I actually don't have enough information about how confident I feel Brittany's going to be able to provide effective planning support, you're going to choose white from the drop-down menu. If in the session related to effectively leading CMA group learning experiences, you feel like you got evidence that, you know what, Brittany's actually on track. I feel like she's doing okay in this area. You're going to choose green. And you can do that all the way across for each one of the Vision of Excellence rows that you collect. Brian.
Is there a way to type in notes?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
So right now, we're just choosing the drop-down menu, using this sort of color-coded system above. There is not a rubric around this. There is not formal guidance about what yellow is, what red is, what green is. This is using your gut, okay? Based on what you know, using your gut. So we can go all the way across. I think one of the things that's really nice is that this is where you can also note indicators around preparation for the conference. And I'm actually concerned that Brittany did not prepare. It seems to me like she did not do her pre-work. And I think I'm seeing that play out in that she's not participating, and she doesn't seem like she's making the logical connections that she should be making had she read the appropriate sections of her CMA handbook. Because of that, I'm also a little bit concerned about her participation. She spoke up quite a bit, but there were some sessions where she was particularly quiet, and I kind of suspect it's just because she didn't know the information, but I still am a little bit concerned here. So, Brian, this is where you can start entering some specific notes. If you want to note specifically, you know, what you thought about her planning support, you can enter that text in here. If you have notes about core values evidence that you gathered, you can enter it here. So this, excuse me, I'm on Richard. Okay, so now what I get to is this place where I can really say, what are the indicators that I have that she is struggling? And what I want to do here is choose what I think the most pressing warning sign is. It's a drop-down menu. You can only choose one, so you really want to think about, like, what's the one thing that I think might be holding Brittany back? Based on what I've just shared with you, I don't think you'd be surprised that I'm saying, like, she's not prepared, and I think she might be a little bit disorganized. So the next steps that you'll see here is where you will then log like what the actions that you have taken, the date of that action, results, and any additional notes that you want. Okay, so now you're saying, so if I identify not prepared and or disorganized, what are some of the things that I can do to help Brittany with this? So now we're going to move on to the action guide, the second tab. And this is where you're just going to play with filters, and this is where all of our information about Institute staff performance over the years comes into handy, because you can say, okay, I'm at the all-staff conference with Brittany, so I'm going to choose that first from the drop-down. The warning sign that I chose for her was that she was not prepared and or she was disorganized. And now I have right here 3 action steps that I could take with her as a result, and I can think about, based on what I know about her, based on what I saw, which of these things should I do? Or should I do all of these things? But it basically gives you, like I said earlier, a menu to choose from. So you can take this, and then, this is where you go back to the CMA tracker and enter the action that you have taken with Brittany. And then, once you've done that, you can go in and you can minimize this, and then you can, collect the information about team call number 1. So basically, each one of these points in time has information about the evidence you should be collecting, and then potential warning signs that could come up at that learning experience, and then you go to the guide to help you understand steps that you can take as a result with that staff member. There's a couple other resources in this tracker that I also just want to point out. One is the CMA Vision of Excellence. As I said before, you have that extra row that will detail for you what CMA VOE 7 is, but you can also just go to this tab and get that information if you want the more detailed view about what that Vision of Excellence row is. There's a tab here. This is what you write about in handout 1, where you can see each one of our core values and what it really looks like when you're exemplifying this core value at an exemplary level, at a proficient level, or at a limited level. So this could also be helpful information for you. Down at the bottom is where you see information about our leadership development system, which is something that full-time staff in this room are familiar with. It's how we talk about performance for full-time staff. This is something that I would not want you to really focus on right now in the spring as you're thinking about, different language and different terminology about staff performance. But just know that it's here and that it's something that you will utilize later in the summer when you get to the Institute performance review conversation. So it's here if it's helpful for you. If it's overwhelming, don't worry about it at this time. Then the last tab is one of my favorites. It's not yet functional. But when it will be, when you get this official tool prior to all staff conference, basically there will be these pivot tables that show you the color representation for each one of your staff members. So you can start to see warning signs across time. You can see who's performing very well across time, and I think this is what will be very helpful when you're thinking about patterns and trends and what you may need to talk to your manager about in terms of things like fair warning policy, or like this staff member is performing exceptionally well across the board. What can I do to really develop him or her even further? So that is the tracker. It's very exciting. Big kudos to